All right. Hello, my friends. You know who I am, but next to me is my good friend and producer Max Steger. He's been the man behind the boards for a long time with some of the first couple records we've made and various singles. He's been the guy behind all of it since really day one. He's been a tremendous collaborator and friend for a long time. So I'm super excited to talk today just about kind of a track-by-track breakdown of our new song called Free. And Max, can you say what's up?
What's going on?
It's gonna be, so we're gonna kind of talk through, as I said, like the kind of writing process of this track, and then also kind of go through like different layers, because this is definitely a very ornate production.
Lots of layers. I maxed out the track count on this.
What are we at in terms of?
I'm not even sure.
Is it, because you said it's like 200 is the max, like
something? Yeah.
Okay, so we're somewhere around
that range.
So we're pushing 200 tracks, which is
I think you're the only artist that I've maxed out tracks on, at least in the past couple years.
Really?
Yeah. It used to happen to me back to my old band, but then again, the track count was lower.
That's
Pro Tools.
That's
nowadays, yeah.
I don't know if I feel good or bad about that, but
no, we just do a lot of combination of sounds.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I think that's
lots of blending.
Right.
Bagpipes.
We'll go into that whole deal. But I just wanted to talk. I think let's start with just like the origin of it. So I started this track last fall. I want to say it was like last September, October, and I just started writing it. And the heart of the song is really like the synth.
Like 6 months ago, you did?
Yeah, it was like September-ish, and then I remember I brought you in like November.
I thought you said this was a lockdown song.
Was it a
from
lockdown
2020?
song?
I don't remember. I mean, you would know.
Maybe it was, and I'm spacing. Maybe I'll have to look back at my notes.
Or maybe you started it.
Maybe it was a lockdown song, and then I think that's what it was. I think that it was a lockdown song.
Because I know you were still tweaking the melody even this fall and stuff like that.
Right. So I think that's what it was. I think I started the writing and the synths and like the general like broad strokes of the song back in like spring 2020, and then I think I like shelved it for a year. I think that's what it was, and then it was like September, October-ish. I like refined it, and then I brought it to you like around November-ish, and we started to kind of like bring in different elements and layers.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean the heart of the song really was like this sort of airy synth thing, and I just started like this kind of found this really interesting patch, and then I started to write kind of melody ideas over it. Let's play like some like the main airways synths a little bit.
Yeah.
And there's
so this was definitely the first thing that stood out to me when I heard the song. I mean, not only is this how the track jumps off, but it really sets the tone for the first, like, say, like, minute of the track. So that's the solo. So, yeah, you did this on your own, on Logic.
Yeah.
Heavy thing. You got a little bit of a bass line going in there, but I'd say mainly it's kind of a verbed out mid-range synth.
Right. No, I agree. But then you added a bunch of shit to it, right? Like you added, so like I came to Max with like, when this is always kind of how we work. I realize I didn't really explain it, but like I come usually to Max with like raw demos that have like generally okay ideas, and then he'll flesh it out. So like, what else did we add to it? We added like
so we kind of added this really cool sonic bed underneath these synths, and I'm actually first gonna play what we added, and then I'll play them all together. So this is what we added, and this is a combination of guitars and a bunch of synth patches that we painstakingly spent a long time tweaking. But I think this, we created a really cool, bass.
Yeah. No, I do love the stuff on this thing. And I forgot about the strings we added. Yeah, that's a cool little patch.
So kind of focusing on all the frequencies besides the mid-range that your airways were taking up.
Right.
So we're kind of just like trying to figure out how to fill it out and go in between, if you will,
Right.
your other synths. So then here's it all together. Then jumping in a little bit towards the pre-chorus, we had it really pick up,
right,
which was a conscious decision. So we added even more sub-synths, stuff like that. Right. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think it's really cool.
Right.
Bring in the airways.
Brings me to my next point around like the chorus. I definitely want to like dive into that because that's kind of its own animal, and I wanted the chorus to be like very euphoric. Like I had when I came to Max, the chorus was like written in a broad way. Like I had the melody and I had kind of like the overall vision of like this sort of grandiose, very euphoric, just like blissful, epic chorus. But I only had like a couple layers. It was just mainly like the airway synths and maybe a couple things, and there was a few drum samples, but then. You know, I know you brought in like way more layers of synths, and then we added a bunch of drum samples because my original drums were like very thin, just like very basic rock drums. But then we wanted to make it more of a pop sound.
Yeah, I'd say the drum character was there. We just had to supplement a little bit to get more kind of punchiness,
right,
if you will. Yeah, and a little bit more fidelity.
Right. Yeah. Let's go through some of the stuff in the chorus because I'm honestly forgetting all the things that we added, but there's a lot.
Should I bring the vocals in?
Yeah, just let's play a bit of the chorus and then let's just dive into like a little bit of what is all there. Because there's a lot that like I don't think you necessarily hear. So yeah, let's just play a little bit of the chorus.
Alright. There's a lot. So here's the synth layers. Well, actually, mute the vocals and the drums. So this is gonna be the synth and the guitar. The guitar almost kind of acts like a synth.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of like, you know, your typical rock guitar. We really kind of treated the guitar like a synth, you know, very atmospheric.
True.
I'd say the two like biggest things in the chorus that stand out to me is that guitar that you actually recorded.
Yeah, that was like an old
that has a very
demo.
cool kind of fuzzy sound to it. This thing.
Yeah.
It's really cool with the phaser. It sounds a little bit and.
Yeah, I almost didn't add that. So when I wrote that, I was kind of like, man, this sounds like really 1980s, like almost like metal-y.
Yeah.
And I was like, is this cool or bad? And I couldn't, sometimes you can't tell with ideas where you're like, this is either awesome or terrible. But in the end, I was like, no, actually, this is pretty dope. And I'm happy
Once
that
again,
it's,
it kind of sounds like a synth.
Yeah, and it does. Yeah,
You
it
know?
definitely, you don't really think it's a guitar. You're right. This
Some
whole
of the,
thing
some
is,
of the other guitars we added were just like these chord hits. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
those are beautiful, yeah.
But other than that, it's just that your main guitar line.
And then like,
And
a
then the
lot of
other
synths, yeah.
stuff, the other thing is obviously this kind of synth lead that you have. I gotta find it. This part.
Right.
So this is like the lead synth.
Yeah, and this is a similar, I think it's the same synth. It's a modified version of the main synth that you hear in like the intro. So that like main airy thing. It's the same sound, but I like tweaked it a little bit in this chorus because it has like a different character. It's a little bit more stringy, like almost like strings in this section.
And we found this very cool kind of Tame Impala-esque Juno sound.
Yeah, I love that.
To supplement it, and I'm gonna play that first by itself, and then with the airways, you kind of see how it interacts. But so it just kind of helps those notes, you know, come out a little bit more. Because this thing's pretty verbed out. It was funny, I didn't even know the part was like doom 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 doom. I thought it was like doom 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 doom.
Right.
Doom.
Right.
So yeah, then together it's a really cool combination.
Yeah, it helps it out a lot.
Without the modular. With it, you know.
Yeah, I don't think it would have. The part would not have come across. I agree with you. Like without that supplementation, it wouldn't have been the same vibe.
Yeah. And then other than that, we added a lot of cool atmospheric pads, like stuff like this.
There's a lot of this, and like I love these
Because
guys.
there's really not. This is all synth driven, more or less. Besides those like little guitar hits, it's just synth and bass. So it's actually real. I think it's really cool actually that that's what we did for this chorus, and we didn't fall back on a lot of other stuff we did for our previous tracks. You know, we tried to do something different. So
yeah, because most of Under Moonlight, not most, but a lot of it is guitar driven. Like the first album especially is like synths, but still driven by guitar, especially with like songs like Conviction, very guitar heavy, where this is like bordering on EDM-ish, where it's just like mainly synths and some sample drums and vocals with, you know, sprinkles of guitars. So it's cool to like kind of branch out and to do just purely synth driven stuff.
Yeah,
I feel pretty good about it. Let's go to the bridge if we could. I want to talk through this stuff because there's some interesting sounds here, including, you're probably wondering like, you know, by the time this comes out, the song will be out. Like you'll probably hear a weird noise in the bridge. It's bagpipes. It's Scottish bagpipes.
real bagpipes.
Real bagpipes, which was super fun to record. I might even like splice in bagpipe footage. So we tracked it live with this guy that I found, who's just like a really amazing bagpipe player in Chicago. So we like tracked it live. Because I don't know, I had this idea for a while to bring in like a bagpipe synth sound. I thought it would be like really interesting to use bagpipes in a modern pop song because no one ever puts bagpipes in a modern pop song.
Yeah.
And also I'm Irish American, so I'm like, fuck it, let's do it. And then Max was like, yes, let's do it. So we found this guy and it was a really fun, weird, but cool recording process. So yeah, that's that weird, you want to pull up that layer of like bagpipes. That's that weird noise that you're hearing when we get into the bridge.
Yeah. Where are the bagpipes? There they are. All their glory. sound really cool. And then they come back around right around here.
Oh, that's right. And I should say too, like the other reason, like creatively, I really wanted bagpipes, like besides the fact that I think it's interesting, is that I wanted the bridge to be very dark and almost like feel like a funeral. Like if you look at like the lyrics behind that section, it is pretty dark and bleak and is kind of themes of death. So I felt like, you know, I think a lot with music you need to kind of make symbolic choices, and I thought about like, okay, what instrumentation brings about sort of a darker, kind of more deathly energy, and I felt like, you know, bagpipes were appropriate. So I think it adds a good layer, but there's a lot here.
Yeah, and the technical process recording the bagpipes was interesting as well.
Yeah.
Being like, so bagpipes are only in a certain key, right?
Yeah.
I think they're
It's B flat.
It's B flat, and I think like
there's a limited amount of notes.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we pitched the song down to kind of match the bagpipe. Right. Had him track to that, and then we pitched it all back up into the key of the song, and surprisingly, it all worked out. So
yeah, and I just want to like note that like Max worked magic, because it was really hard to do that, to like record in a different key, then bring it back up, then like, you know, auto tune it and pitch it, and Max did a really amazing job, and that's like super hard. So props, man. Like that was really hard to do.
I'm very happy how it came out, though.
It does sound real. Like it doesn't sound.
Yeah, no, not at all. Yeah.
Yeah. What else do we have in the bridge? There's a lot. There's like a harp thing and a bunch of other interesting little. I know you added some cool guitar layers.
So that's kind of the harp's the basis of the bridge, which was interesting too, because we couldn't have the entire song just die out.
Yeah.
At this part, so we have stuff like bass drops and little guitar sprinkles, like mute that. We had a couple cool guitar moments.
There's a lot, little, yeah.
I thought this was a really cool moment. Like, we have a lot of these cool small moments. Like, they're not, you know, big events, but
yeah, it just kind of floats on by.
Yeah, and then this sound, which doesn't even sound like a guitar.
Yeah, it sounds like a synth little thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we had some swells building it back up, and I'm gonna play that with the bagpipe. I kind of matched what he was doing.
It's cool.
So yeah, we really we get back into that big Chorus 3 release, you know?
Yeah, let's talk about that, because there's a lot there too. I mean, there's like a lot of layers. I think the thing that like jumps to me, like, I guess there's two things that jump out when you hit Chorus 3 that I think are really unique, because I wanted Chorus 3 to feel different, bigger, just unique energy. It needed to feel the most euphoric of all the different choruses. So the two things that like I really wanted to add in was a sub bass, and you'll hear it in a second, but like it's just a really powerful sub bass that kind of comes out of nowhere. Like it's one of those things that you just didn't expect, but then you're like, wow, that's really awesome. And then piano too. I thought it would be cool to bring in like a really powerful element like a bass, but then also like a really beautiful kind of ethereal element like a nice kind of piano. So let's play some. Maybe we just play the whole thing and then like dissect it a little bit.
Yeah.
We'll rise up.
Whoops, I should probably put the drums in. Still sounded cool though.
Yeah, sometimes I like hearing music without drums. It's interesting.
Mm-hmm. my drum bus. There it is.
We'll rise up. Remember that.
Yeah, it's cool. We had a Rich bass player literally copy the same bass. So there's actually like two bass tracks going on, which I rarely like to do because the low end can get muddy fast. If you're having two elements,
Right.
in the sub range. But I actually think this worked out and sounded really cool. See, I'll solo out the two bass parts and show you how they kind of work together. They actually really do work.
Yeah, and it's interesting because like it does, in the track it sounds like one unified bass.
Yeah,
thing.
which is what we were going for. So we really had to sync those things up to make sure there was no, phase issues going on.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, the other thing was the piano. If we can pull that guy up, I just thought like it'd be really nice to have a really high-end shimmery thing. It's subtle. It's one of those things that like if you first hear this chorus, you may not even notice it, but it does. You just feel it more than you hear it. Is what I always think about. It reminds. So the reference I had for this is what's the name of the song? It's a really old song. It's from Moby, if you guys remember who that was. From I think it's a song called Porcelain. It's like his late '90s album, and he has a track. Do you know Moby?
Yeah.
Okay, I guess we all
From
know
the
that.
90s? Yeah.
But yeah, like he has this album.
I mean, I'm sure he's still doing.
Yeah,
stuff
he's still out here. I think he's got a vegan restaurant on the east side.
I think I've heard about that.
Yeah. Now he's just in a vegan restaurantism. Not really. I don't know. Maybe he's doing music, but he has this track called I think it's Porcelain, but it's like this really interesting groovy track, and I don't know, but like I had this idea to do something like a Moby sort of porcelain-ish piano track that would just like layer on top of everything and just make it very subtle. And I think it works out nicely. I think it's a nice little element. But there's a lot more
definitely.
here too.
I really like this cinematic pad.
Yeah.
Lots of cool frequencies, where it sounds like it's almost like a pad mixed in with like some organic strings.
Yeah.
And that's from Spitfire Labs. For any producers out there, it's free. Go download it.
We use a lot of that. Yeah. Yeah.
Love that plugin. It's great for just weird, cinematic, out of the box type stuff. It's not right for everything, but like, when you find something, it's the right part. It's perfect.
Yeah,
So.
it's very cinematic. Like if you need, and that Under Moonlight is often like kind of soundtrack-ish. If you need sort of a cinematic vibe, they're among the best out there for sure.
Yeah, it's not a lot of flexibility, but it's free, so can't complain. I big fan of Spitfire.
What else do we have in this one? In chorus, there's a lot in chorus 3, and honestly, like I forget. There's the choir patches. There's the vocals.
We had some cool. Since we did like some tremolo stuff on.
Yeah.
Some choir stuff. Where is that? I think that's here.
you can see why it took to 200 tracks. It starts to make more sense when you really go through it.
Yeah.
There's a lot. And then, do you want to talk about the vocals? We haven't really talked about that at all. Like, there's a lot of vocal layers to the choruses especially, and that's, I think, always true of Under Moonlight. It's a very lush vocal sound, and we stacked a lot with chorus 3, I feel like. You want to, like, go through some of these layers?
Yeah, do you want to start at the third chorus?
Yeah, let's just go with the chorus 3.
So, for the vocals, we did... First time I think we've done this in any of your songs is we did, one up the center, one left, one right. So
right.
Just really get a big, omnipresent, stereo vocal sound. And you're also singing kind of breathy too, so it gives it, a little bit more of a powerful feel to it.
Right.
Because you're singing very delicately.
Yeah.
And I think it's a super cool effect to layer it like that. Because it'd be one thing if you were like belting and all that stuff to do that many layers of it, but since you're so delicate with it, it's really cool. That's the harmony.
That's the harmony.
So we actually did 3 of the harmonies too.
Yeah.
So
it's, yeah.
Here's them all together.
We don't believe in this world, in your world. We will be free of this world, of your world.
Yeah, it's a really cool sound.
Yeah, the reference for that one was, and I showed this song early on to Max, was Lana Del Rey, which I love her overall, but there's a song she has called Lust for Life that I've always loved, and kind of thought of that vocal sound and that vocal, the sort of gang vocal kind of whispery approach, and I wanted to do something like that for this track. I thought it'd be like, lends itself to that kind of thing, like powerful but whispery at the same time, sort of a gang vocal, and I think it turned out super nice.